let me introduce you to a little brew that I threw together just about an hour ago. It's Lurrus. It's mono white Lurrus of the Dream Den. That's our companion. Our whole deck has no permanents with converted mana cost more than 2. And yeah, it looks kind of like this. This double Tomic Dryad Militant hand is not really going to get the job done, even though it's worth noting that we always have an 8th card in Lurrus of the Dream Den in our hand, all games, every time. So on 3 mana, we do get to cast this card. So we have to evaluate that we have these cards and also Lurrus. It's going to be a little weird getting used to that, kind of like playing Commander. I don't really love that Magic is going in this direction, but I'm definitely going to try it out and see how I feel about it in practice rather than just in theory. So this is what we're doing today. Really excited to give it a try. We're going to mulligan here for sure. And we're definitely going to keep this hand. This is a turn 2 Lurrus. This hand is awesome. And we're going to bottom one of these planes. Yeah, this hand is extremely good. So we get to play Mox Amber, play Kythian, turns on our Mox Amber, play Dryad Militant, and then next turn we get to play Lurrus on turn 2, which is pretty silly. Lurrus can cast permanents from your graveyard that cost 2 or less once a turn, which is, yeah, pretty great. Blooming Marsh, I actually don't need to cast Lurrus here. I think we're actually going to just pile on the creatures. This is probably Sultai. They're going to Fatal Push Kythian. I think I'm just going to keep them alive, honestly. Just blank their Fatal Push there. Yeah, it was costly to do that, but I feel like we got a free spell on turn 1, so we can kind of afford to blank their Fatal Push by giving it Indestructible there. Could have also let it die and then recast it at some point, but it's hard to recast it when our Mox Amber is turned off. Yeah, this is Sultai. They paid 2 life for the Watery Grave. Interesting. That means they're probably going to Grizzly Salvage here. Or they're going to Abrupt Decay. No, Wildborn Preserver. Interesting. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Let's cast Lurrus and Dryad Militant from our graveyard. What do you say? Get in there with three creatures. So if our Kythian survives this combat, which it's very likely to do since we have the ability to give it Indestructible here. Whoa, it's like a Sultai Flash deck. Interesting. Probably going to eat Lurrus, huh? Yeah, that's fair enough. We're going to flip this Kythian over. We're going to play all 3 of our cards. They're a flash deck, so I don't think they're going to have much to say about this. And we're just going to +2 this Gideon just to get it up a little higher in case somehow they kill our creatures and maybe pressure our Gideon. We want to add a higher loyalty. The giving our creatures Indestructible for their turn is not super useful against a non-verdict deck. Although I guess they could be playing Ritual of Soot. I haven't seen a build that's like this. Sultai Flash is what we're playing against, it looks like. I thought they were Sultai Delirium with Uro and all those cards. It's a much more common build of Sultai these days. Let's go ahead and crack a clue. Walking Ballista. I'm into it. Have 2 mana up. Yeah, we're just going to make this a creature and attempt to kill them. Oh, they're just going to scoop it up. All right. Turn 5 kill through 2 blockers and a Fatal Push. Not bad, not bad. Probably should have played the Ballista pre-combat there, but it's good that they don't know about Ballista now. It's kind of sweet. So they do have a bunch of 2-drops. So I think Glass Casket's actually going to be pretty good. Not sure exactly what else they're doing. Selfless Spirit seems reasonable. Just the Flying Body actually seems pretty solid. Let's see what we want to take out for those. So Ballista actually seems good since they're playing Brineborn Cutthroat, which doesn't line up very well against Ballista. Kind of tempted to just run back the main deck, honestly. The Flying Body of Selfless Spirit's cool, but I like pretty much everything that our deck is doing. And we're on the draw, so Knight of the White Orchid is good. Although in our deck, with Mox Amber as like a land in our deck, a lot of the time Knight of the White Orchid is going to be active because we're running only 18 lands and then the 4 Mox Ambers. That also being said, it should be said that Lurrus is our only card that costs more than 2. Although Quarantine Field and Walking Ballista sometimes cost a lot more than 2. That's why we're running a couple Nykthos to get those powered up. This hand is very good if we find a Mox Amber or a second Plains. So I think I'm just going to keep it. We also have plays for the first couple turns if we don't find our land. And we're on the draw here. It's not a Mox Amber, but it is a land, so that'll help. We're going to lead with, I think Thraben Inspector makes the most sense, but yeah, I think Thraben Inspector. It's not as aggressive as our other 1-drops, but getting the clue out there. We might just want to crack the clue next turn. All right, so we got there on our white source. Gonna just attack here. They have the Wildborn Preserver. No, they have Dire Fleet Poisoner. Okay. So we can kill it with Walking Ballista, but that's not a super efficient line here. Maybe shouldn't have attacked. We already knew about Wildborn Preserver, so we should have figured that they'd have some sort of 2/2 flash creature. I was only thinking about Brineborn, but that was obviously incorrect. I regret that attack. Let's try this first. Nice, that resolved. Slam a Plains down, and Maybe we want to get Heart of Kieran out there. It's either that or Crack the Clue, but I think Heart of Kieran presents a pretty powerful line of attack here. I don't mind trading off Bodyguard for Poisoner here. Also don't mind trading off Bodyguard for Brineborn. Happy with that trade. Even though we do have a Ballista in hand. Ballista is going to be pretty good with Nykthos at some point. Which is probably why they blocked. Yeah, let's play Atomic and play a Ballista for 1. Crew the Heart and attack with all 3. This way they could just kill Kythian by blocking with Dire Fleet, but we have another Kythian in hand, so we don't mind all that much. They might also have a removal spell. They are a flash deck, so I assume they have some stuff. Yeah, bounce the Heart. Okay. Just get in there with Night. Well, we still have another Kythian, so I'm just going to attack with both here. The Scarab God. I didn't expect that. Oof. Yeah, we probably lose to that. Did not expect them to have Scarab God in their like 2-drop flash deck. That's a problem. That's a really big problem. Scarab God. So we can cast Lurrus and Heart. We can't really beat this card though. I guess if we cast Lurrus, we probably want to cast Anafenza first. Pump the Ballista. Huh. Yeah, the Scarab God is going to be very difficult here. I'm not really sure what our game plan is. We did not board in Quarantine Field. Did not board in Remorseful Cleric or Tormod's Crypt. But we do have Flyers. The Flyers could get the job done. Oops. Should hold control here. Because I want to use Ballista with the bolster trigger on the stack. We're going to pick Lurrus, I think. And we're going to do this. So we want to use the Ballista first, so that's the one that will bolster. So we get to choose here. We're always going to choose Ballista because it's worth 4 mana to do that, and we get it for free with Anafenza, which is great. I'm going to play this land. Can't give Kithian Indestructible here and pump the Ballista. Let's just pump the Ballista. Flipping Kithian is not that useful at the moment. All right, so we could just get them. They do have Scarab God, which is scary, but they don't have any flying blockers. I mean, they have Brazen Borrower, but that we can easily kill with Ballista. And, I mean, they'll bring it back with Scarab God eventually, but that takes a couple turns. Well, actually, it's 4 mana, so I guess technically they could do it next turn. 4/4 flying blocker is pretty bad for us. But we could potentially put two counters on Ballista next turn, which will allow us to kill the 4/4 and the 1/1. But we'd rather just kill them, I think, at that point. Right now we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pips. So we can put 3 counters on Ballista as it stands. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Got him. They could not beat that Ballista getting 3 counters on it. I was worried about this Scarab God, but we had enough flyers and just direct damage with Ballista to just make it hard. I don't know why they didn't draw out the clue. Maybe they just didn't have any outs. I mean, if they find a way to kill the Ballista before our next turn, they're in a decent spot. But maybe they just didn't have an out there. Cool. All right. Hello and welcome to round 3, which is actually just round 2 of this recording of this. So I'll just say round 2. This is welcome to round 2 with Lurrus, mono white Lurrus. We're going to select Lurrus as our companion here, as usual. And yeah, 2 Heart of Kirin. And no early legendary drop for Mox Amber. We're going to mulligan that one. Yeah, once again, we're going to mulligan here because we just don't have much going on with this Mox Amber. Mox Amber is good with Lurrus. It ramps us that turn, but I'd rather just have the 3 planes with this hand. So I'm going to bottom this Mox Amber. All right. So yeah, Lurrus is in our hand, so we basically have a 7-card hand. And we're on the play here. We're just going to start things off with Dryad Militant, get the beats going. Little Savannah Lions with upside. Dryad Militant happens to be pretty good against Inverter. That was a good draw. Now we get to play 2 more creatures if they don't have a Fatal Push. Then we get to flip Kithian, which is quite strong. Fabled Passage could be a lot of decks here, but I would assume that our opponent is playing Inverter. They did have the Fatal Push, alright. I like that Mirage Swamp, it's very nice. Yeah, it looks like Inverter. Ooh, we drew the Mox Amber, hell yeah. Alright, we're getting things started here. We get to play Lurrus and Kithian this turn. Pretty awesome, pretty awesome. Maybe our opponent is confused. But yeah, we're going to drop Lurrus. That turns on the Mox Amber. The cool thing about Mox Amber in this deck is it can ramp us. If we draw 2 of them with Lurrus, it just ramps us another mana each turn if we need it. And it also is turned on by Lurrus himself, or herself, or itself. Herself? Yeah, it looks like a mom, right? So we instantly get that extra mana. And we could actually tap it for black too if we wanted. We don't have any black cards in the deck, but it's kind of cool. Get that Kithian right back. Get this party started here. Feeling pretty far ahead. That was a pretty strong turn 3 for us. And they're just going to scoop it up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That felt good. That felt good. All right. So we got Tormod's Crypt. We got Remorseful Cleric. Feel like we want those. Glass Casket is good against Jace Vern's Prodigy. But otherwise it's like medium. I'm not sure that we want Glass Casket here. Daxos and Talmic both don't really do anything. And we could drop a Mox Amber on the draw. And leave 3 Glass Caskets. They're good against Pack Rat. They're good against JVP. And they do have text against Thassa's Oracle as well. So it's not like they're bad. It's just they're not great. I do think we want Revoker, actually, for Jace. And Quarantine Field is probably just in general better than Casket. Yeah. Maybe we'll just play both Quarantine Fields and 1 Revoker. Yeah, because Quarantine Field can hit the 6/6 as well. And Jace, both Jaces. So again, we're going to start with Lurrus in our hand as our companion here. And hopefully have a decently aggressive hand. We didn't cut any of our 1-drops, and the 1-drops are really what are going to put us over the edge in this matchup. If we can go 1-drop into 1-drop, 1-drop, we're in a very good spot against Inverter. They have trouble dealing with like tons of 1-drops, and we have a handful of 1-drops here. So we're going to keep it, even though Nykthos is a bit awkward since all of our cards cost white. We're just going to keep this one. We're playing 2 Nykthos in the main deck and none in the sideboard. But yeah, just 2 Nykthos in this deck. Because of these types of hands where we really need white sources, and we're only playing 18 lands. So it's a bit of a liability sometimes. It's still pretty powerful because we're mostly white pips throughout the deck. And obviously plays pretty well with Lurrus because it has 2 white pips and it's always in our hand. So Nykthos is strong, but this is exactly why we're only playing 2. It's pretty strong with Quarantine Field and Walking Ballista as well. Ooh. All right, so here I think I'm just gonna lead with Toolcraft Exemplar. It attacks for 3 next turn, although I kind of regret that actually. I think it should have been Dryad Militant. The 1 extra damage is probably not gonna be better than the yeah, let's cast this Mox Amber first. Attack for 3. Fatal push. All right. That's dead. Now we're going to play Kythian, Dryad Militant, like we should have played last turn, and a Nykthos. If that was a Plains, we're in much better shape here, obviously, because we're threatening to flip Kythian next turn. It was not a Plains. Just going to leave this mana up for Indestructible. Get in there. And we're going to play definitely Thraben Inspector. And I guess Dauntless Bodyguard makes sense too. And we'll just pick Kythian. This way, even if they... Like, we don't have the mana up to pay for Kythian, but we can still sack Bodyguard to keep it alive. There's JVP. Gonna crack this clue. Anafenza's legit. Double Anafenza. I do want to pump the Thraben Inspector, but it doesn't really matter. I guess we just attack. Yeah, let's just attack first. They're likely going to block the Thraben Inspector because it's free. We're going to flip Kithian. We're going to plus on Jace. So if they don't use it on their turn, they have to attack Gideon, which is great for us. That means they can't block and use it. But they're unlikely to fill their graveyard enough for Jace anyway, so it's probably not something they were going to do. Yeah, here I'm going to play Kithian. Number 2. Make some white mana. Noxious Grasp by Gideon. All right. That's okay. And we'll pump the Dauntless Bodyguard. Pumping Dauntless Bodyguard because it doesn't actually save our new Kithian. This was naming a different Kithian, so we can't save that one. And so it's our worst 1-drop. It's our worst X1. So probably the best target to pump. Inverter of Truth. All right. So their library is now Fatal Push, Drowned Catacomb. We're likely dead next turn. But we do have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even if we draw a Quarantine Field, we can't win. Bummer. Cool. We're super dead here, but we put up a pretty good fight. I guess we could have drawn Revoker. What? They just didn't have it. They just play the Inverter hoping that we'd scoop. Okay. All right, I'll take it. They just didn't have it. They just cast Inverter because they were going to die. All right, that's fun. What? All right, welcome to round, 3. 4 in this actual league. One of the rounds was not recorded. And we're 3-0 right now with this Lurrus mono white deck. We're going to start with Lurrus as our companion, as usual. And we're on the draw with Double Knight, Dryad Militant, and Heart. Yeah, this hand's great. We're going to keep. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's just a solid curve. And on the draw, the Knight of the White Orchids are just really powerful. Temple of Mystery, interesting. So this might be Lotus Breach. So Dryad Militant is quite good here. We're going to lead with that. And we drew another 1-drop, which happens to be Kithian, which we can play alongside Dauntless Bodyguard next turn and have a flipped Kithian really early. If it is Lotus Breach, these Knight of the White Orchids are pretty bad because they sack their lands. So we are not going to get any triggers with those. But Atomic is the best card in our deck, and we do have 2 in our main deck. I'm going to pick Kithian here. I don't think it matters much because against a blue-green deck, I don't know how much removal they actually have. They cycle the Sheltered Thicket, so maybe they're not Lotus Breach. Breach does play Grazer usually. But this doesn't particularly scream Breach to me. We can play Lurrus, but that doesn't really do anything. Let's play the Knight. And then we can play another Knight, or we can play Heart of Kirin. I guess Heart of Kirin. Does more damage. And it's very good with Gideon flipping here, or Kithian flipping. Some good synergy there. Make this guy attack Gideon. It's pretty awesome that this has to attack Gideon now. Pretty freaking great. Pretty pumped on that. I really like Kithian. If you can't tell. I've been trying to mess around with Mox Amber Kithian decks for a long time, ever since Mox Amber came out. And to varying levels of success, mostly medium success, but it's quite fun. I really like Kithian. And a bunch of 1-drops. In Modern, you get to play Isamaru and Kithian in the same legendary Mox Amber deck, and Thalia. So you get a lot more legendary creatures that have a lot of text and a lot of matchups. Obviously, Modern's a very different world than Pioneer, but 1 mana, 2 power creatures are pretty strong. So yeah, we're going to crew this Heart of Kirin with our Gideon and then eat their Grazer, which is pretty fun. Or we could just let the Grazer hit Gideon for 0. Either way. Blast Zone. Oh, that's scary. It's really not good. Yeah, Blast Zone's a problem. I guess I should have eaten the Grazer, because now the Grazer can block. Yeah, I probably should have eaten it, considering I was definitely going to attack with Gideon this turn. Alright, I suppose we'll do this. Oh yeah, right. They're going to kill the Grazer. That's why I didn't block it, because they're going to kill it with their own Blast Zone. Right. Never mind. I knew what I was doing. Sort of. Cool. Our opponent's at 4, and we have a pretty good board here. We also have Lurrus that I almost forgot about. Maybe it would have been better to play Lurrus there. Pour over the pages. Yeah, I probably should have played Lurrus, Dryad, Militant. Ooh, this could be bad. They are Breach. No, they're going to scoop it up. Sweet. Beat Breach game 1. Pretty aggressive draw. So against Breach, we are going to want Remorseful Cleric, Dormont's Crypt, and they do go get sweepers at some point, so I think Selfless Spirit makes sense. We certainly don't need Glass Casket. And Revoker is good for Ugin, I guess. Can just name Ugin with Revoker. It does sound kind of good. So we're adding 4 artifacts. I think we can cut the Thraben Inspectors. But maybe we'd rather cut like a Daxos first. A couple Thraben Inspectors and a Heart of Kirin. No, Heart of Kirin's pretty good. It attacks into the 1/4 bodies and the O3s, so that's kind of important. Let's go to 1 Thraben Inspector. Yeah, let's try that. Tomic's our best card. It's pretty awesome. And with Selfless Spirit and Dauntless Bodyguard, we can protect our Tomic. It's very difficult for them to win the game through Atomic. And then Revoker is going to be pretty strong at stopping them from using Ugin. And Tormod's Crypt will hopefully stop them from just going off with the Underworld Breach. We are indeed going to select Lurrus as our companion here. Dryad Militant's great. Tomic. Ooh, love this hand. Love this hand. Dryad Militant into Tomic. I am not mad at it. Not mad at all. Breach has lost popularity the past couple, I guess couple months even, maybe like month and a half since PT Phoenix, when it was kind of the deck to beat. It was like 3 or 4 of the top 8 there. Inverter has kind of taken over as like the de facto best deck in the format. And Inverter did win PT Phoenix as well. So it's not like it was a slouch back then. Got that turn 2 Tomic. It hurts the Thespian stage that they just got pretty bad, but I assume they already have a Lotus Field if they're using that Sylvan Scrying to go get Thespian stage. Yeah. I Did that wrong. I should have played Anafenza and Kithian and got in for more damage here. Yeah, that was bad. Definitely did that wrong. Whoops. Yeah, that was pretty bad. That one damage might end up mattering. Hopefully not. So we could play Lurrus here. Pump again. It'll have to pump Dryad Militant though. So let's not do that. Let's just swing out. Flip Kithian. Give Atomic Indestructible. And play Hardikiran. I'm gonna bounce Atomic maybe? No, dig through time. Okay. It's pretty strong. Pretty strong, pretty strong. We should probably have the companion area somewhere we can see it. So I don't forget that Lurrus is in our hand. Yeah. Pour over the pages, and they're going to scoop it up. Obviously, our hand that game with Dryad Militant and Atomic was pretty absurd. But that's why we're playing those cards, because they're pretty absurd in some matchups. And we are 4-0. We have not dropped a game in the recorded matches so far. Feels good. Playing for the trophy here. Hello and welcome to the final round of this league here. We are 4-0 right now. Played one match off stream, or off, not stream, but recording. And we're going to start with Lurrus as our companion once again. We're on the play. I can't keep this one. Yeah, we're going to have to mulligan. This one we can keep. I'm going to bottom a Ballista here. Because we've got Toolcraft into Thraven Inspector. And then eventually Mox Amber does something. It's not a great hand. But I don't really want to go to 5. And we do have some aggression here with Toolcraft and Thraven Inspector, Glass Casket, and Ballista. All those cards can deal a lot of damage and remove our opponent's blockers for the first few turns of the game. So hopefully they work out in that way. Opponent on black-white vampires, maybe? Stitcher's Supplier, interesting. Sacred Cat. Ooh. Does our opponent have a companion? Interesting. Alright, we didn't get there. But we are just going to cast the Mox Amber, I think. Did not hit a land, though, so this is kind of bad. Obviously, we're only playing 18 lands and then 4 Mox Ambers. So there are going to be a lot of games where we don't hit our lands, and maybe I was supposed to mulligan there, but Tithe Taker. Whoa. I'm just going to attack with Thraben Inspector here. Probably should have played Dryad Militant before combat, just in case. But yeah, missing our land once again, and missing on like Kithian. Basically, Kithian and a land are only good draws at this point. Uh-oh. Yeah, we really need a land now for that priest. Yeah, we're gonna really need that land right now. Nope. Ouch. All right. Let's just attack with Dryad Militant then. They might block with Tithe Taker. But yeah, turn 4, no second land is pretty tough. Pretty tough one. We do have technically 2 mana sources, just Mox Amber is not on right now because we don't have our second white source for Daxos. Don't really know what our opponent's doing though. So that's kind of interesting. They're black-white, Priest of the Forgotten Gods deck with Stitcher Supplier and Sacred Cat. But we don't know exactly what they're up to. Very interesting deck though. 2 brews button up against each other right now. Whoa. Whoa. Strider. Powerful card. Ouch. Luminous Broodmoth. Ooh. That's what they're doing. I mean, we're honestly not in the worst shape if we Glass Casket the Woe Strider here, so I'm going to keep playing. I thought about conceding, but we're not in the worst shape getting rid of the Woe Strider. They get to hit us for 5 with Shambling Vent and their creatures if they want. Looks like they don't want. That's scary. What do they want to do with the Shambling Vent then? I'm scared. Scrap you, Scrounger. Alright, that's fine. Cast Sacred Cat. Or Embalm Sacred Cat, that is. No? Never mind. They decided against it. Nick those. Solid. Solid. We can... Cast Daxos and Heart of Kirin, but then we can't crew Heart of Kirin. We can cast Lurrus and the Raven Inspector. Let's do that, I think. The Raven Inspector actually blocks kind of well on this board, and it's something to sacrifice if they use the Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Such a powerful effect, though. It's going to be hard to beat with them using that multiple times, but we do get to draw some cards with Lurrus. And now we have 4 pips, so we might be able to do some pretty fun stuff next turn if they don't interact with our board too much. Anguished Unmaking. Oh no. Okay, that's really bad. All right. Yeah, that's really bad. Oh no. Oh no. That's quite a top deck, friend. They found the Brood Moth, so now everything's bad. Everything's really bad. I don't think we can win from here. Comes back with a flying counter on it. Yeah, let's just gain 3 life. Let them get their Stitcher Supplier back with a flying counter. Now they're going to sack it. And their goat. And draw a card and we lose 2 life. And we have to sack a creature and take 7. Go to 5. Yeah, I very much doubt we're winning this game. I like that our opponent's playing Tithe Taker unapologetically right now. I'm into it. Excuse me. This is a 3/4. Interesting. So we're at 5. We do have a flying blocker, but it's just not going to do the job here. I don't think we can win. I'm going to go to the next game. It was kind of close, even though we didn't hit our second land until turn 5. So, you know, I don't know. We might be able to get there. We got Remorseful Cleric and Tormod's Crypt. Also, all these Baffling Ends and Glass Caskets should probably come in, along with Revoker. Wait, Broodmoth we have to deal with. Broodmoth. So they're filling up their graveyard. They have Scrapheap Scrounger and Woe Strider. Yeah, I guess Tormod's Crypt is probably fine. We're on the play, so I don't like Knight of the White Orchid that much, although the body on Knight of the White Orchid is actually pretty relevant in this matchup. The first strike body. So maybe we do want those. Daxos is actually kind of relevant as well. Maybe we don't need the baffling ends. Heart of Kieran's pretty relevant. Atomic doesn't really do anything except for being a 2/1 flyer, which is fine, but not exciting. Walking Ballista is pretty strong. I think we can trim at least one knight. Dauntless Bodyguard. Probably our worst one drop here. Although I guess we can trim a Dryad Militant too. It's not really doing a ton. It's a little bit good for Woestrider's escape cost, but it's not that great. And we definitely want Revoker. We want a 4th casket. Baffling End might be good, but I think we want to be aggressive here. So we don't want to cut too many creatures. Start with Lurrus as our companion. And this is a good hand. We're going to keep it. If they kill our Kythian, we're in some trouble, but luckily we have the Dauntless Bodyguard to go with Kythian, so they can't kill Kythian. Or it's going to be very difficult for them to do so on 1 mana, which means we're probably going to be able to play Anafenza and maybe even Lurrus next turn. This is our best start that we can have, the Mox Amber Kythian, another 1-drop start. It's what we want every game for sure. Sacred Cat. It's pretty good here, actually. Blocks our 2/1s pretty well. You know what? I think I just want to Glass Casket it. That might be wrong, though. If they have the Priest, well, we don't really care about Priest. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cast Glass Casket right now. And get in for 4. We do need to deal damage. And that cat really holds us up on defense there. So I think it was worth it just to casket that thing. But we've shown that we kept a 1-lander again. Thoughtseize. It's not too bad, actually. They're losing life for that. And they can't take Lurrus, which is just chilling in our companion zone here. Another cat. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's real bad. That's not good at all. And yeah. We're just going to pass. Didn't have to show them the Tormod's Crypt. Maybe shouldn't have. Yeah, they do have the Woestrider. Well, punished for using the Glass Casket early because they had a second Sacred Cat. Who would have thought I'd be so scared of a Sacred Cat? But that cat is extremely good here. Actually, I have 3 artifacts, so this guy's gonna have first strike. That's kind of cool. Can't attack this turn though. But we are going to attack with all three. We're going to lose Anafenza most likely, but I don't know. Maybe they don't want to trade Wolf Strider for Anafenza here. And we get to flip Kithian for sure, because we attacked with 3 things. Although they'll probably block with Sacred Cat, effectively not losing much in that exchange. They are going to block. All right, so Tormod's Crypt, even though it's on board, and we didn't need to show it to him yet, and certainly I think we punted doing that. It's going to work out. Let's get rid of the graveyard. Let's make the goat attack Gideon. And pass the turn. Oh, no. Oh, no. Anguish Unmaking. I was hoping they didn't have that. But we did draw a land finally. And we do have some pressure here with the Toolcraft Exemplar, although they have a blocker. But yeah, that Anguished Unmaking on our Gideon is pretty rough. Pretty rough. All right, another one. That's great, actually. Not going to give them the option to block here. Just going to get in for 4 with Heart of Kieran. Looks like they're a little bit flooded. So they might just fire up Event and get in for 2. Yep. Just so they're not dead in two combat stabs. Let's recast Tormod's Crypt for free. True Heart. This way they go to 2. Yeah, I think we just swing out here. They go to 2 if they don't block, or if they do block Kithian. And if they don't block Kithian, we have a Gideon again. Both situations are very bad for them. But they do have a flying blocker, so there's also that. We could have waited a turn, but we can just recast Kithian as well if we want. Fatal push the Toolcraft. Okay. So they're going to go up to 4. We're going to go to 16. And here we got 4 mana to work with, so we can do... I like Toolcraft here, because it crews Heart of Kieran by itself. But Anafenza is probably better. Yeah, I think it's Anafenza. Lurrus is, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Not mad at it. Because Anafenza is going to let Dauntless Bodyguard crew the Heart of Kieran by itself. Oh, and we're going to keep the Lurrus alive. Crew that. They have to block the spirits, so they're going to go to 1. So yeah, they need a pretty big top deck here, and I don't know what it could be. I guess something that kills Heart of Kieran gives them at least another turn. Nope. All right, we got there. I was pretty scared that game when they played the second cat. I was pretty worried. And I certainly shouldn't have played the Tormod's Crypt when I did. Should have held it. But they ended up blocking in a way that was good for our Tormod's Crypt anyway. So yeah, Dauntless Bodyguard was very good and probably something we need. But the X ones in general are pretty bad. So I don't mind that we lowered the amount of those. Yeah, I think we probably cut all the Dryad Militants and bring back in Knight and the Tomic. At least 1 Tomic, maybe 2. Quarantine Field also might be worth it for Luminous Blood Moth or Brood Moth or whatever it is. Yeah, maybe 1 Quarantine Field over the second Tomic. And maybe 2 Tormod's Crypt and no Remorseful Cleric. Yeah, Remorseful Cleric's pretty bad against Afterlife. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to choose Lurrus as our companion. Going into game 3 here. That's too many lands. We're not going to keep that. All right, we'll keep this one. We're actually going to bottom a land because we have Mox Amber and we have Knight of the White Orchid to get us more land. This hand's solid. Thoughtseize is annoying. But we can recast whatever they take with Thoughtseize with Lurrus at some point. So that's cool. They went with Toolcraft. All right, so their hand is probably a little slower. They already know about the Mox Amber. I'm just going to cast it now. Hopefully they play with something that we want a Glass Casket here. I don't really want a Glass Casket that. Yahenni Undying. Thoughtseize again. Ouch. Again, all these things we can recast. But now that they could take Knight, we might not be able to get that third land to cast Lurrus. And they also might have a plan for Lurrus. They took Knight, yeah. Just gonna play Kythian and pass the turn. So we can Lurrus next turn. Because the Kythian turned on the Mox Amber. Priest. Alright, we have the casket for the priest. And we also have Knight of the White Orchid. That was a good draw. That was a really good draw. Alright, now we're cooking with some gas. They knew that we were gonna get the priest though. Like they knew we were doing that. So maybe they have something good. Oh, what does that do? Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yahenni, sacrifice another creature, it gains indestructible. Okay. We got Quarantine Field. I might just cast Quarantine Field on Yahenni here. Although... yeah, Yahenni with Broodmoth is pretty bad for us. So if their last card is Broodmoth, which it could be, then they have a 3/4 flyer. I think just having the 2 knights is pretty good. So maybe we just Lurrus and play a second knight. And then if we draw a land, we can take 2 things with Quarantine Field, potentially. Yeah, I think I just want to play Lurrus Knight. Not 100% sure on it, but that's what I'm going to do. I should have probably attacked with the other knight first. But it doesn't really matter. Oh, wait, it gets indestructible. Yeah, that was wrong. I think I'm not supposed to attack there. And now my creature's going to die, which is going to pump Yahenni, which isn't the worst. Because we have Quarantine Field. But yeah, I shouldn't have made that attack, especially after doing all my other things. That was certainly not the correct line. If they don't have an out to this Lurrus, though, then we should be able to win from here. I mean, obviously they have outs to Lurrus in their deck. So Quarantine Field and Toolcraft Exemplar seems pretty good here. But we could also just cast Knight. Get a land and then Quarantine Field. That's even better, yeah. We can wait on Quarantine Field as well. You can play Revoker, name Yeheni as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to name Yeheni with Revoker. And then just pass. I don't want to trade Lurrus because we still have something in our graveyard we can recast. Thoughtseize is the Quarantine Field. All right, that's annoying. We can recast it though. That's awesome that we can recast it. Luminous Broodmoth. So we're just gonna recast it for 2, and they're just dead here. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, friends. Can I tell you how good I feel about this right now? Friends. This is my favorite. I'm extremely happy right now. This is my favorite. That worked out so well. Our opponent Thoughtseized Quarantine Field. Taking 2 damage for no reason because we can recast it because we have Lurrus. And we got the trophy. Oh. So, I guess this Lurrus deck can kind of tango. First time ever playing it, and did not lose. Built it about an hour and a half ago. Sweet. That is fucking, I mean, that is awesome. And yeah, let's do deck tech. So we got the sweet trophy. Take a little picture of that before we do the deck tech. Anyway, sweet. So, hey, welcome to the deck tech for Mono White Lurrus. Lurrus is a 3-mana companion that you put in your sideboard, and if you meet the requirements for your companion, you're allowed to cast this at any point in the game. It's just always in your hand, basically, but it's in the companion zone. And so every hand we start with a Lurrus, which is pretty powerful. This card is pretty good. It's 3/2 lifelink, and during each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. And everything in our deck costs 2 or less because that's the requirement for this guy. So we can just recast everything. And we're only playing permanents as well. We actually don't have any spells in the deck in the 75. So we're playing a lot of 1-drops. We're playing Dryad Militant to keep Inverter off of a big graveyard, to keep Lotus Breach off of a big graveyard. It's good against control, against dig through time decks in general. Dauntless Bodyguard, good against control because you can save your creatures, good against removal spells, and also has a sacrifice ability that allows us to recast it over and over again with Lurrus, which is pretty cool. It also is good at saving Kythian, which Kythian is pretty awesome with Mox Amber. Turn 1, we can Kythian off of Plains, play Mox Amber, and then also play a Dauntless Bodyguard or a Dryad Militant or a Toolcraft Exemplar or a Thraben Inspector. And speaking of Thraben Inspector and Toolcraft Exemplar, they've been good friends for a long time now. Thraben Inspector makes a clue, which pumps Toolcraft. Toolcraft is also pumped by Mox Amber, Heart of Kieran, Glass Casket, which is what we're playing in the main deck instead of Baffling End for the synergy there, because this needs artifacts in play. So we're playing a lot of artifacts. 4 Mox Ambers, 2 Hearts, 3 Caskets, 2 Walking Ballistas, and 4 Thraben Inspectors that all make artifacts. And then you got your typical like White Devotion cards like Anafenza, which is a little more important in our deck because we have all these 1-drops. And Savannah Lions are pretty good, but they get outclassed at some point, and being able to pump your team can be really powerful. Obviously, Anafenza is really, really good with Walking Ballista as well. As you may have seen in the video earlier, we did some fun things with casting a Walking Ballista for 1, pumping it with Anafenza, and then using those pump triggers to kill some of their creatures. That actually might have been the match that was off the record, but we did do that against a blue-white control opponent. And you can do that in Mono White Devotion and Pioneer right now as well. A big difference between this deck and Mono White Devotion is we're not playing Heliod. You can't play Heliod if you're playing Lurrus as your companion. I do think Heliod's a very powerful card, and obviously very, very powerful with Walking Ballista. If only this said 3 or less, then this card would just be bananas in the Mono White Devotion deck. But as it stands, still pretty powerful. We trophied that league, first time ever playing it. 2 Nykthos to try and get some value there. I'm not sure about 2 Nykthos. We could maybe play 1. But our curve is really low, so the 18 lands seemed okay. We obviously had some mana troubles, but with Lurrus just always in our hand, Mox Amber is basically always a land, even if it's only a land after turn 3 or on turn 3 forward. But it's like we always have this legendary creature in our hand, so this is always going to be usable, which is why we're playing 4. And it's a little bit of an iffy thing that we're playing only 4 Kithians as our 1-drops to turn on Mox Amber, because we really want to like ramp into Lurrus. But we then have 3 Anafenza, 2 Daxos, and 2 Tomic in the main deck that are all legendary creatures as well. And then when we look at the sideboard here, we got a lot more removal, 4 Baffling Ends, and the 4th Glass Casket. 2 Tormod's Crypt, which plays really well with Lurrus because it's free, and you can just recast it for free again that turn. So you crack it, you play it, crack it, cast it again, and good luck, graveyard-based deck opponent, because this is just going to be cast every turn. So that's pretty powerful. Remorseful Cleric, I was trying out as the 3rd Tormod's Crypt because it has a body and it has flying, which is pretty nice. But Tormod's Crypt played so well that I'm not sure that it shouldn't just be another Tormod's Crypt, honestly. Selfless Spirit plays pretty well with Lurrus, has a sacrifice ability, and is very strong against other creature decks and against control decks with like Ritual of Soot and Supreme Verdict. Revoker, pretty solid dude. It's an artifact for Toolcraft Exemplar. It revokes things like Yeheni, Undying Partisan, and Priest of the Forgotten Gods, and all kinds of things. Any Planeswalker, you can revoke it. Just a pretty powerful card, and only costs 2, so we can play it in our Lurrus deck. And then we've got 2 Quarantine Field, which this is a really powerful card that gets around the ability of the restriction of Lurrus making it need the restriction of Lurrus, which means we can't play anything that costs 2 or more. This costs only 2, and as you saw maybe in that last match, we won our final match with this card because our opponent thought seized it, and we recast it with Lurrus for 2, getting rid of their whole board and attacking them for lethal. Well, we didn't actually attack them for lethal. They just scooped to that, but it felt so good. Quarantine Field is an extremely powerful card if you have 6 or more mana, because you can exile 2 things for 6 mana. Really powerful 2-for-1 that doesn't discriminate, can hit any non-land permanent on your opponent's side of the board, which is really powerful. And it also gives us a reason to have Nykthos in our deck. We can make like 8 mana and then take 3 things, which is just ridiculous. Walking Ballista, also a way to utilize our Nykthos, and certainly not sure about 2, but for now we're playing 2, and it worked out pretty well. Thanks so much for hanging out, y'all. We 5-0'd with Lurrus, Mono White Devotion with Lurrus. Pretty sweet brew, I guess. I was pretty happy with how it played. Felt better in testing than it even looked. and I thought it looked pretty solid, but I was definitely not expecting to 5-0 that league. And yeah, pretty excited. Hope you try it out. Hope it goes well for you. Hope you're having fun with the new Ikoria cards. I sure am so far. And come check me out on stream at twitch.tv/kponsmtg. Also kponsmtg on Twitter if you want to know when I'm going live and what deck I'm playing that day. I always post it on there. But yeah, if you're looking for any of these cards, including Lurrus of the Dream Den, you can find it right here on TCGplayer.com. Check that out. And yeah, appreciate y'all so much for sticking around and checking out this whole video. I hope you're taking good care of yourselves, and I can't wait to see you in the chat on the stream. Have a good one.